Welcome back to Sons and Shadows Cast. We're the podcast that delves into the lost, forgotten, and canceled television series. Let's remember, relive, and revisit. We've come back for the final round of Exorcist. I'm your co-host. My name is Jeff.
And I am your Pazuzu possessed co-host, Kevin Smith.
And I'm Will, and I'm smoking out of a pipe this week. Not a vape.
Ooh, tremendous. What are you smoking out of, Kevin? Or is that your ears?
That's my ears.
Okay.
That's my ears. No smoking in the closet. I mean, studio.
The studio. All right. This time around, we're back with the second season of the Exorcist television show. We have Father Tomas and Marcus. They're on the road seeking out demons, while parallel to them, a foster care facility family in the state of Washington is the target of a new demon attack. Their lives begin to unravel. The overall story continues with Father Bennett and new additions to the cast in Mouse, someone from Father Marcus's past, as the Vatican and the Exorcist face a bigger threat to their existence. This is The Exorcist Season 2. Thank you, Fox, for canceling this fine-ass show. You can go suck it, but we're going to talk about it. All right, Kevin, what did you think about Season 2? And had you seen it before?
No. And I think if I would have started with Season 1 during its original airtime, I'm not sure that I would have stuck around for Season 2. I'm not sure. So, but this was a first for me, and it was night and day.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't know what Fox was thinking this time. Like, maybe if it would have been after the first season, because the first season was touch and go, but this season, it just got too good, and maybe that's why Fox canceled it.
Yeah, when I was doing some research on this, it looks like this happened around the time that Disney bought Fox, in between Season 2 and Season 3, and like a bunch of other projects. It kind of caught the windfall of maybe not. As you know, we're all still waiting for Deadpool 3. This was a television show that was really pushing the boundaries for what would be probably on ABC if they were going to put it out there. And they're certainly not going to put this kind of content on Disney Plus, considering their family friendliness.
Oh, no, I can definitely see this next to Barney or whatever Disney's equivalent of right now.
It's the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
MICKEY. No.
No, Point out on the doll. Point out on the doll.
They should have kept it and put this on Hulu. I mean, that's where it's at now, but I'm like, they should have kept it going with the third season on Hulu.
Well, that's what they did with the Orville.
Oh, is that what they did with that?
Yeah, but I think that show was already in production, and they just decided to push it over to Hulu instead, and then also the pandemic started, so a lot of things changed with the whole television and film unit for Fox.
Well, that kind of stinks. That really stinks, because like Steve Wilson had told us that's kind of how that happens, where you could be working on something and then there's a shift of a business meeting one day and all of a sudden you don't have a job anymore.
Exactly. Now, Will, had you seen this before, or was this your first time watching through it again? And how far did you make it on your rewatch?
So the first time I saw this with Liz, we made it about probably half of episode 1 before we realized that there was definitely something missing from season 1, from our watch through of season 1. And that made a big difference, just having that little bit to go off of, knowing that it was something completely different. And layout was like one of those renegade type shows, but instead of a single episode per town or whatever, in case, it was just stretched out over a whole season. And yeah, I think this would have been a better one to start with in season 2, maybe, because then it would have given some more lead in to why it was so critical about the Pope's visit. But I don't know. I didn't finish it. I only made it through episode 6. So I don't know what kind of big revelations were coming.
So you don't know that Pazuzu came back and killed everybody. Oh my God.
That'd be awesome. I'd be
Spoiler
thrilled.
alert.
If that is how it actually ends, that would be fantastic.
No.
Yeah, see, I didn't think they allowed darkness like that.
Although I did kind of have that as a complaint. I almost wish Pazuzu would have made a cameo.
Well, they had a different cameo at the end. If you are a fan of the movies, especially Legion.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yes, that's worth talking about because that was not only one of the most epic scenes of the whole season, it was also one of the most laughable scenes in the whole season.
Laughable. Okay, you got to explain that there, buddy.
Okay, so doing a little bit of research that we did for the last episode, we found out that they had intended and had already been working on season 3 or had plans for season 3, and that they wanted to incorporate parts of Exorcist 3 or Legion. And if you remember from our Survivor series, or what was it, Survival Guide, Exorcist 3, the book Legion, was about Father Karras being possessed and stuck in a mental institution. Well, Pazuzu had pushed the Gemini killer into his body. Well, what they did with the Exorcist series is Father Bennett gets possessed. They forced the integration on him, where a demon forces itself upon him, and for whatever reason they merge. But they reenact the scene in Exorcist 3 where the nurse is just walking down the hallway quietly. So if you've seen Exorcist 3, you knew where this was going and you're kind of getting really excited for it because it looked really neat. And then you see Father Bennett come out with the white robes as the old lady did in part 3, and instead of having the giant like stainless steel shears, it's like a giant set of, like, it wouldn't even say pruning shears, it was like a giant set of scissors from the Acme company or something like that. It's like, what is he chasing her with? But otherwise that scene was intense, it was beautiful, and it was a nice homage to Exorcist 3. I liked that scene.
Yeah, I very much like that too, because I had read, and it was in our last episode where there's the reference to Legion. So I was watching the whole series, the whole season 2, and I'm like, where's this reference to? And I had completely forgotten about it by the time that scene came around. And when the nurse started walking down the hallway checking doors, I'm like, oh, then I remembered, and I'm like, are they gonna do what I think they're gonna do? And then they did, and I was laughing as well as cheering at the same time because of the super size of those freaking shears was just ridiculous. To me, it looked like something from like Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Yes.
From 1980s and 90s wrestling, with the giant like ching ching. But I just thought that, but I also thought, like, okay, Bennett, that's excellent, because now we can see where that goes. Oh wait, no season 3, so that's not happening.
Yeah, that was really disappointing. Like, knowing
So
what
Bennett,
it could have been.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, I can't like hold back. Is Bennett possessed at the end?
Yes.
Oh.
Spoiler
Was
alert.
It would probably be that Bennett is probably possessed with or merged with the Gemini killer.
Yes.
And they'd have to save his soul instead of Father Karras's at the end, which it would have been really neat to see a Detective Kinderman with the rest of the characters. That would have been really cool.
Yeah, that would have been really cool to see him join up with Marcus and Tomas.
Yeah.
Wait, are Marcus and Tomas both alive?
Yes. But Marcus quits. Like, he loses his faith, and he almost loses Tomas, and he can't handle that because that's his brother, and he's already lost enough. So he basically goes off on a pilgrimage, and within 5 minutes, here's the word of God. And you're like, oh shit! All right, we'll just turn around. Everybody's probably still at the hotel. But
that's
no,
actually a time jump.
Oh, that's right, because he had a beard.
Oh, yep, that'll
officially it's 6 months later, but they didn't do any of those little subtitle bottom things at the bottom like they should have, like 6 months later. They should have done that. They did not do that. So you don't know that. You're just assuming, Oh, he's got a beard. Oh, he just hasn't shaved in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, people just go 6 months in a blink.
If I could
And
do that in
that's
6 months, that'd be pretty sweet.
yeah, I can't grow facial hair.
But
I'm
no,
happy about it.
it had about a 20-minute epilogue at the end. And this season really got to me emotionally. Like, it was so much better done. Jeff, you said it had a different showrunner this season, I think.
Not showrunner, but he was listed as a consulting producer, and that was Manny Cotto. You Star Trek Enterprise fans will remember him from joining the production staff in season 3 and 4. I know him more from Odyssey 5, which was a show on Showtime. And he's very well, as far as I'm concerned, because I was a fan of both of those shows, he's very good at incorporating multiple different storylines in small doses. They feel like they're not, you can feel like an association, but they all come together towards the end, towards a much bigger picture. You saw that more in like season 4 of Star Trek Enterprise, but season 3 had a bunch of like mini 2 to 3 part episodes here and there. And then season 4 felt a lot more overall. And he's very good at bringing that kind of structure to a show. And I could see it almost right away. When I saw his name in the credits, I'm like, oh, and because I didn't notice it in the first episode. I saw it in the second episode, and I immediately understood what was happening. Now, it's not just, oh, I see his name and this is automatically going to be good. Since I'm a fan, I'm going to be very critical. Like, if you fail at this, like, hey, this is a blemish on the record. You got to keep it strong there, buddy. And I thought he brought it. He helped with this. He had to have helped with the structure. He's a consulting producer. I don't know how much he really was involved, but I can see his fingerprints on this. And the storytelling was phenomenal. Yes, it's a little slower paced, but I felt this first season was extremely slow paced until about episode 4. This one, just 2 episodes for me, and I felt like the show was off and running. So they definitely had a much better season this season overall, in my opinion. Writing, acting, all across the board.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, that was cool.
You should
Pause.
put a little time jump there.
I'll have
What
a
we were
beard.
talking about.
Yep.
I'll have a beard for it.
Just use that.
No, what I was saying was yeah, I mean, they improved in every single way, and it showed that our 2 priests were not, the actors have more dimensions than what the characters were written for them in the first season, I think.
Yes.
And they conveyed a lot more emotion. You got to see human sides of them, and not in hokey ways. You see that Father Marcus is very vulnerable as a hero. Like, Ben Daniels really plays that off well. And Alfonso Herrera, I mean, he does really, really well as Father Tomas. Now, I also still think that sometimes they write Father Tomas as like the worst priest in since Pope Gregory the 15th, but they always kind of make him redeemable. So like his sins are, you don't really worry about that whole transgression thing from the last season. They're better people. They got to shine more. Even Bennett got to be a better character this season. And that's core cast. The new ensemble, John Cho, Lee Jun Lee, and Brianna Hildebrand.
Oof.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
This series, or this season, only got 1 award, and that's a Saturn Award, which, hooray, Mystery Science Theater got a Saturn Award also. And so
Saturns are awesome.
That's good.
But I really want to know where the Emmys or the Golden Globes were for those 3 actors, because specifically John Cho and Brianna Hildebrand not only made me misty-eyed, because I put notes like in the first three episodes, John Cho already made me cry 4 times, just because he seemed like such the coolest dad in the world.
I know,
Like,
right?
like he really brought it. He was that replacement for Alan Ruck that was just, that's that cool dad. No, man, they fucking throat punch you with emotion by the end of the fucking season.
No kidding, dude. Like I was sitting there watching that develop, and I'm like, once it became clear he was the actual target, it was like, oh, that's a twist at the end of episode 4. Holy crap. And then by like episode 7, it's like, oh, here we go. Oh, it's like, oh my God, what are you doing to this dude? He's so likable. It's like, wow, this show likes to pick the perfect people to like put the screws to. And he killed a couple people. And I was like, holy crap, when he gets out of this funk, he's gonna be like, God damn it, I need to go to prison. And thankfully or not thankfully for him, he at least got to go out, as a hero without having to deal with the ramifications outside of that.
Yeah, and they explained that pretty well.
Did Harold actually get possessed and then murder everyone and then murder
You mean
himself?
Andy, correct?
No, Harold from Harold and Kumar.
Yeah, that's John Cho. His character name was Andy. You keep saying Harold and it's throwing me. I've not actually seen those movies, so I'm just like, you mean Andy, right? So
yeah, well, of course.
What happens is the different webs that they pull together, and just like like Jeff was saying, there's a story here, there's a story there, and none of them seem related until someone just pulls a string and they all come together. So I mean, we start out in Texas where the fathers are trying to exorcise this poor woman who gets possessed because she's bereaved from a miscarriage, and her husband is the town sheriff. So of course it's redneck sheriff. Got to be the worst fucking cop I've ever seen. One, he's not wearing a fucking vest, just shoot the guy. There's your fucking problem right there. Or 2, he's the only cop in the world that has never heard of a toxicology report. Like, he takes these 2 fucking guys hostages, beats the shit out of them, and keeps asking, what did you give my wife? What'd you give my wife? Why don't you ask the fucking hospital, dipshit? Oh, nothing.
Have them run their tests.
Yeah, so he finally starts to believe when the demon manifests herself and just like destroys everyone in this fucking hospital. That was glorious to see from a horror aspect. That was really fun.
That was great.
And in the meantime, you're seeing John Cho's family. You realize he's kind of a single foster dad, and he's doing a really good job at being this awesome dad where it's like he picks on his kids in the most loving way. Like, he tells the kids, yeah, I love you all the same, about that much. And he holds up his pinky finger, like, not at all. But a lot of these kids are all special needs. One is on the spectrum. One is blind. Everyone just has their own personal issues that they've brought to the table, and he loves them all just the same. And they're a wonderful family. And he's been working with this one little girl that's agoraphobic. She does not want to leave the house. And like, you see him throughout the first 5 episodes or 4 episodes really trying to get this girl outside, and you don't realize that nobody else sees this girl when he's talking to her. That's the demon trying to fuck with him.
Yeah.
And it was this great swerve. And then once he figures that out, then the demon just turns into his wife, and he accepts that to a point. And he still knows that it's a demon, but he won't fight it because he knows if the demon gets away, it's just going to hurt his kids or another family. So he'd rather just keep it inside of himself. And the fathers keep trying to do this exorcism, and it won't work. And it's because he's not letting it work. So Tomas decides to open up his mind to the demon, and he offers himself up as a trade so Andy can go be with his kids and family. And while that's happening, Marcus is holding a gun to John Cho's head because he doesn't want to lose Tomas or to let the demon go. And as the demon's transferring to Tomas, John Cho kind of comes to and says, please do it now, kind of the same way that Father Karras did in Exorcist 3. And it shows it plain as day. Fucking Marcus shoots him square in the head. And that stops everything. And you're just kind of like, oh my Christ, like that really just happened.
Yeah.
And then there was still another 20 minutes left to go after that. And you're just like, oh my God. And it was just like one resolution that was really tragic, but slightly uplifting all at the same time. And then it ends with you wanting to find out what's going to happen with Tomas, because he's got a new mentor now, or partner, which was Father Marcus's old apprentice, sister type figure. Yeah. Mouse, who's a papal hitman, basically.
Dude, she's a badass.
Yes, she had probably the most glorious kill I've seen in a horror series in a long time. All the priests, or the demons that possessed priests and basically became papal Hydra agents, they're all having this decadent party with these nice sweets that the French priest or bishop has got together for them, and the maid's putting all these sweets down in front of them, and of course they're demons, so they're all smacking it down as quickly as they can, not realizing that the sugar on top is actually Eucharist. And so they all start spewing blood everywhere.
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it was the body of Christ. It was blessed Eucharist.
I missed that.
And so she just lights them all on fire as they're spewing blood everywhere. I was like, oh, papal hitman. I love it. Love it.
That was so good, especially after like the setup of Father Bennett hitting the brick road with like the Vatican and the investigation and the person he had working with him. And it's like, oh, you need to go find this person. And then they show you this person, but you don't get a clear shot of the picture. And then you don't get a clear shot of her until after she's killed all of them. And it's like, wow, she took out the bishop and all of his little henchmen. And it's like, damn. And she's just all like, yeah, this is what I do. She struts off.
Yeah, it was just another screwed up day in the office.
Yeah, and her whole storyline, I think that was great. She's also a formerly possessed person as well. The interesting part is that Marcus wasn't the one that saved her. He actually had to leave her because he didn't feel like he had the tools. So somebody else had to step in, who basically was like, hey, girl, you were doing something you shouldn't have been doing, messing with a demon. And Father Marcus was too much of a rookie for dealing with your possession. So he gone, and I saved your ass. Now get back to normal. And you saw how well that worked out, and she ended up being a total badass for the rest of the show. And with the whole thing ending and she's now with Marcus, like, that is a great change in the dynamic for Tomas. If we were to get a season 3, you could see the difference between her and Marcus. Marcus was always a little more on the protective side, especially with Tomas. She was more of, God delivered us a nuclear bomb, and you want him to be a precision surgeon. And she's more willing to set him off to take out the demon. So it's like, A, what kind of gift does he have that we're still not quite sure what it is? And B, oh damn, she's way aggressive. She's gonna maybe try and push him to do a little bit more, but he almost needs to learn that, because a little bit in this show, he's going from like this, oh, I don't know if I can do this, to, oh, I'm a little too eager to do this. Oh, maybe I should scale it back. I'm not experienced enough, to now he's going to get some proper training for the aggressiveness. Is he going to start turning into a walking exorcist weapon priest? Like, this could get pretty epic, because it felt like the show at least was building from season 1 to season 2. Like, we went from, okay, this is familiar and okay and good story, to, oh my God, this is awesome, to, oh crap, what are we about to get into? And then we hit the end. So yeah,
again, a lot of disappointment. They even came back to plot holes that I thought that they were going to leave out, specifically
Yep.
Maria Walters.
Yep.
Like, I
That
was
was
so
cool.
happy to see her again.
I was not
Um,
expecting that, actually.
No. And see, that was the thing about this season. Everything that I thought was going to be basically be predictable, for like 85% of the things that I thought was going to be predictable did not go the way I thought it was going to go.
Yep.
Like, I thought Rose was totally going to screw over Andy and have the kids taken away. But no, she turned out to like totally support him and back him up to the state that he was a good foster dad. And I was like, wow, she turned out to be a really dope ass character. I like her.
Yeah, I liked her a lot, but after her character started getting developed, I think they did a really great job with the character development, especially.
Agreed.
With-
Yes.
And not lots of time either. They managed to do it really well, in at least from this episodes I saw, in pretty short spans of time. I mean, we got to see Andy and like how much he was grieving for his dead wife, and got to. I felt like you were saying, you were crying over him how many times, and like it was a real emotional, like well-built character, and you could see like the suffering that he'd gone through, and like the joy he had in the children, and like, and even like taking care of like the little girl who was afraid to come outside and always wanted to have her mask on when she came outside, the big cloth bag.
Yeah, that was
And-
foreshadow and a half. Scary
Yeah.
too.
I'm like, oh, at some point she's going to get possessed. Oh no, she was already the possessor.
Yeah, all I could think of was, I am your daughter.
Oh, I thought it was great. Like when she stood up from behind the picture in the later episodes and revealed to be the wife. And I'm like, once she started standing above the picture, I'm like, oh, are we going to see a true form, or are we going to see, oh, it's the wife? Oh, shit. Here we go.
That kind of reminded me of the nun when the nun came out of the painting on that was The Conjuring 2.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, that was a really neat scene. See, even the cinematography was better this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that with any disrespect. Nothing good came out of 2016. So it's not anyone from season 1's fault.
No.
But I mean, just everything was just so much better. And all the kids, not just Brianna, but like Alex Barima, Hunter Dillon, and Cyrus Arnold, those kids were just fucking amazing.
Oh, I know.
Hunter Dillon, the gentleman that plays Caleb, I could have swore I'd seen him before somewhere, and apparently I have. I just can't remember where. But I thought he played a young Matt Murdock in the Daredevil series, but no, apparently he just relatively looks like Charlie Cox.
Wow, he totally has that look.
Yeah, he does. He was the blind one, right?
Yes.
I can
Okay.
totally see him.
That actually reminds me of a quick question for you guys. Like, did you get the impression when he was first, because he was the first one who showed the white eyes in the family when very early on in the show, did you feel like maybe there was a second demon running around, or were we going to get something where it's this is a good demon / ghost, whatever, that might actually help at some point? I felt a little misled until the very end when it was revealed, oh no, he was actually being controlled by the same damn demon.
Yeah. Well, see,
Wait, Harper was being controlled by the same demon?
Yeah.
no, Caleb was.
Caleb, yeah.
Oh, what
At
was
the
the
very-
deal with Harper?
Harper was able to see it. She had that feeling, and it was just something God telling her to watch out for. And I don't know if that was because Marcus couldn't hear God, but he had that closeness with Harper. But she had that feeling, and Marcus believed her just because he had that connection with her.
Right. I was wondering because the mom said something about like you don't know the things that she said, and like how she had the thing drawn ahead of time.
We got to talk about that too, because that's really important. So,
Okay, sorry.
because people who haven't seen it at home, another one of the swerves is the priests get sent to another house where this woman is saying her child is possessed, and Tomas is getting really ahead of himself, which is why I say they do things that make him look really stupid. Well, he's falling into pride. And he's like rubbing in Marcus's face. Well, God talks to me and not you. Meh, 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 meh.
Yeah, it's clear what's going on here.
Yeah, and you're just kind of like wankety wank 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 wank. That part's stupid. It didn't need to be, because they had this really neat story where this little girl was having convulsions, feeling like she's seeing spirits in the house and shit like that. Well, here comes Rose. And that's how the priests get brought into Andy's life, as Rose is doing a welfare check, and Marcus happens to see her, and he gets her to leave, basically. And as she's leaving, he says, that poor girl's been in hospitals all of her life. And that's like a big red light to Marcus. And he goes running through the house looking for like medical records,
Whatever,
yeah, anything he could find. And he does. He finds prescriptions for fucking like, I don't remember what exactly it was, but he's basically the mom was giving her PCP for convulsions, and was giving her cybacillin for hallucinations.
How did the mom get access to those? Like, those aren't just common things you find at any, like.
Dude, you want a toe? I can get you a toe right now.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, you can, but.
She was probably lying and, taking her daughter there, being like, my daughter needs something, and just kind of milk the system.
Yeah, she read Chris McNeil's book about Reagan's possession,
Yeah.
and instead of what she was saying, learning from it, what she did, yeah, she was learning from it. She was learning what to do and what to say to make her daughter look possessed. And Marcus kept trying to say, if we do an exorcism and she's not actually possessed, we could psychologically destroy her for the rest of her life.
Right. She'll always feel like she's broken.
Yeah. And so he'd come in and stop the exorcism that Tomas was doing, basically throws the mom out of the room, and is saying, accusing her of what's happening, and then just goes straight to the girl and starts telling her, you are wonderful, you are perfect, you are innocent, you have done nothing wrong. And like, he doesn't care about anything else except for like reassuring her that she's okay first. And there was a real sweetness to that. So
great.
Much so that it scared the shit out of me when the fucking mom comes out of no place pulling a full Annie Wilkes,
Yes.
swinging a hammer at fucking Father Tomas.
When she knocked him over, I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah, because that sounded pretty solid, like dunk,
Sound effects are good.
Yeah, they really
thump.
were. But then again, here comes that fucking lazy writing where they kind of have to, let's skip a few scenes. The cops just show up. Marcus is awake and they bust in and arrest her. I'm sorry, Tomas is awake and they bust in and arrest her. It's like, well, what happened in between there? That looked really cool.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget, she went upstairs and she attacked Tomas too, and then they knocked her out. Then in the next scene, the cops were there, so they had subdued her.
Oh, okay.
She was not awake at that time. Real quick, you were talking about like Marcus going through and finding all this stuff. They didn't say this at this point, but later on in the show, when Harper is at the house, they talk about how her mother, or maybe it was the welfare lady, child services lady, said her own mother gave her water mixed with bleach to make her feel like her throat and skin was burning. And I just went, oh my God, like yet another thing her mother was doing to her to torture this poor kid. Harper, when she like quote unquote bit her mother, before that, the chattering teeth thing was making me think, oh my God, this chick is possessed. And they need to exercise another demon. It ended up being a complete swerve on that she wasn't. I was like, the whole teeth chattering thing had convinced me.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, she was one of the best parts of this season, I think, because she was so random and scary.
Yeah.
Like, she was nuttier than a fucking shithouse rat. Truly Munchausen by proxy, where it's like blaming the little girl for everything, but still needing the little girl for that attention.
Yeah.
Had no real love for the little girl, and it very much showed. And Brianna Hildebrand has this wonderful line. She's like, well, no offense, but your mom sounds kind of like a bitch. But when the mom, like, you see her again and she scares the shit out of you later, Andy is like full-blown possessed or just about there. And she breaks in, gets Harper, and tells Harper, if you don't come with me, I don't know what's gonna happen. She's got this big old butcher knife. She's like, I don't know what's gonna happen to these other kids if you don't come with me. And that's really fucked up. And so here comes the priests again. They're trying to stop her. The kids are trying to stop everything from happening. All the kids are watching it, and all of a sudden, here comes John Cho coming around the corner. Like, you might as well hear the fucking theme song from Terminator, because you know some cool shit's about to fucking happen.
Yeah.
He grabs this woman by the neck with one hand, superhuman strength, lifts her up in the air, and he just stares at her, takes her knife, and just slowly puts it into her stomach. I'm like, oh, do it, because you know it was going to take he was taking too long. He was studying her still, like Michael Myers, and he just lifted up, and I was like, oh, like Judas. Thank you. That was cool.
We got our slasher movie moment.
Totally disembowels her right in front of all the kids, and then drops her. And I was like, that'll do, pig. That'll do.
Well, the interview with the cop at the end was great when he's like, and he killed a woman. Oh, it was self-defense, and disemboweled her.
She was really crazy.
It's like, oh, that was good too.
Yeah, it's a fantastic way to answer that.
Yeah, and I did not see the state being like, you know what? You did a good job, lady. You're a hero. Again, I assumed that was going to be somebody from the church trying to find out more information. But no, that was just a regular old CPS worker interviewing her, and then just happens to be like a straight-faced douche, doesn't know how to convey emotion until he tells her, you know, you did a good job and you saved those kids. And then the biggest fucking throat punch at the end is she goes to get the one of the kids, the boy that's on the spectrum,
Truck
from basically juvenile hall. It was a lot what this place was like. And he's been there for 3 months. He's scared, he's depressed, he misses his dad, he doesn't know what's happening. He misses his brothers and sisters. He feels guilty because he thought he did something to hurt his sister, and he didn't. He was possessed. And she tells him, I think I found a new home for you. Right now it's temporary, but what do you say we give it a shot? And she brings him to this house, and she says, now just, this is a new foster mom. It's the first time for her, so just take it easy and, you know, give her a chance. And he's looking around in the kitchen and sees all these pictures, and she sees pictures of her, of Rose, and then I think some pictures of Andy when they were young or something like that. And he realizes that she wants to be his mom. And then he hears all this chatter in the next room, and there's all his brothers and sisters. And it's like, I'm trying not to cry, and this movie just keeps like fucking punching me in the throat, and it's like, stop it. I can't stop crying. And so I was like, basically I had this face that looked like I got punched in the face, and what Emily Marsh would refer to as the ugly cry. And I was like, oh, they got me this season. They got me.
Yeah, when that all happened, I just was like, God damn this show, what the hell are you doing here? Because it's like, if a show can get me misty, I'd like that. I didn't have like a full cry or anything, but I was definitely like clouded up, and I'm like, don't do that. A show that does that automatically gets like extra points for me because you got me invested that much to get me to get a little choked up. I got choked up a couple of times during this season, and that was the coup de grace at the end for me.
Yeah, it was. They were like playing guitar with your heartstrings this season. It was fucked up.
Yeah, there was definitely like the moment when they find Caleb on top of the well.
Oh yeah,
it's like standing there in the middle of the night, just like a blanket all the way out there, off through the woods. I mean, did they ever really firmly establish how far the well was from the house?
It was several yards.
It seemed like it only took a couple minutes to get there.
Yeah, because it shows Andy running past it several times later on, where he keeps having hallucinations of his wife killing herself, and he's got to run past there. And it takes, I don't know how long, but it took him a little while to go from the house to the lakeside and past the well.
TV time, it seemed like it took about 30 seconds. In actual time, it's probably more like 5.
Yeah.
That's a long distance for a kid with a blind stick.
Well, he was
Whatever
being
they
led
call it.
by very quote unquote Verity, which ended up proving to be the demon.
Oh, so that's how he saw the demon himself? Was that
Yeah,
it was Verity?
he thought it was Verity.
Yeah,
Oh, so you mean he wasn't like possessed and had to be exorcised? It was just the demon doing like what it did to a truck?
exactly.
It was influencing him.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you'd said that he was completely possessed, which would have been really cool.
Well, it was whatever she did to control them. I don't know what kind of
Right.
like, if that was just a special side power or some sort of like half possession sort of deal. Because she kept, because towards the end, when Father Tomas, Andy's escaped and Tomas is subdued, he's got his eyes white and he's like in some trance. Like she's got like the demon has its fingers in him, in Andy. But the second Tomas starts to wake up, the demon version Andy starts to weaken. And so I was kind of like, that's some sort of weird possession deal where you still have your fingers, but the second you start to struggle on something, you retract the tentacles or whatever.
I mean, isn't that a lot like what happened in Exorcist 3 Legion from I remember? There was one demon possessed guy and he would like temporarily possess other people
Well, that's
and
true.
they would go around doing his murdering.
That's true. When they interrupted him, when oh god, I can't even think of his name. Father Morning. Yeah, when Father Morning came in and
Yeah.
interrupted the Gemini, that saved Kinderman's daughter, and that was the last we saw of the Gemini. Gemini was gone at that point. From that point, it was Satan or Pazuzu,
Yeah.
which god damn, he was cool. Anyway,
Yeah.
but again, speaking of Pazuzu or giving a name to the demons, they didn't give a name to this demon this season, and I was a little sad because Tomas at the beginning asks, "What's her name?" And he gets told, "You already know what her name is," or "What's its name?" And it says, "You already know what her name is." And I just kept hoping, "Oh God, is it Lilith? Please be Lilith. Please be the demon queen." No, just another missed opportunity.
Well, it was a strong demon.
What about that woman who tempted him in Chicago? What's her name? The adulteress?
She was not brought back up.
No.
No, but I wonder if that's what he means by that. Or what that if that's what Lilith means by you already know her my name.
No, see, Lilith is just the name of a demon queen in
Oh,
fiction or science fiction. She's
right.
you said supernatural. I know her from fucking
Yeah.
Ghost Rider and the Midnight Suns. Nerd.
No, and
Both
she's
of
in a
us.
lot of other stuff. I just meant maybe that's what the demon that you thought may have been named Lilith, maybe that's what she was referring to, that she was named that woman who attempted him or something. I don't know. Because maybe that woman wasn't really herself at the time.
Oh, that
Or
was
maybe that woman was just always possessed and fucked up, or
Jessica.
just fucked
No,
up.
she was just fucked up by nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't touch on that. So one of our listeners, Jacob, was asking or was saying he wanted to follow along with us this series, but he couldn't get past like 2-3 episodes of season 1. I'm like, well, we're going to be doing season 2 tonight. I'm like, you still have a chance to go through the weekend. I'm like, season 2 it's night and day. And he's like, well, don't I have to watch season 1 to know what's happening in season 2? I'm like, no, not one bit.
only for the introduction to Tomas and Marcus.
Yeah, I mean that's about it. Otherwise, they recap everything that you need to know for this season within the first 5 minutes of episode 1.
Each episode has a recap that's appropriate to what's going on in the episode. So if you need a little gentle reminder, this is the trick that episodic TV always did. Like you get it in Supernatural, you get it in Stargate, you get it in, a bunch of other shows where they give you like a brief understanding of, hey, these are moments from before that you might want to pay attention to. Like, oh God, the rich lady in Chicago. What's her name again?
Maria
Walters.
Maria. They showed her at the beginning of that episode, and it's like, oh, okay, here we go. They're dipping back into her. Okay, that's why they're going to Chicago. They're obviously going to see her, but before that point, you don't really understand. Like, Well, there's a bunch of other demons running around. Who are they going to confront?
Yeah, because I mean, they kept talking about a conspiracy. The conspiracy goes up higher than this. Well, it's like you already killed the French cardinal. Like, what else do we have? So when they actually do show Maria, I was kind of like, well, I'll be goddamned.
Yep.
Sweet. But see, and then that was cool too, because when they found Maria, she was in a hospital bed
Yes.
dying, not her husband.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
find out that the whole reason why the demons kept passing her over wasn't because of what Pazuzu said, that she was a weak woman or a poser or anything like that. It was because she had cancer and the demons could smell it and she wasn't useful.
Right.
And when they did choose her, there was nothing else left to choose. It needed to choose a host. And so
Oh.
it basically made good with what it had.
Yeah, they even
Yeah.
teased Bennett about that too, where they're like, I could still take you. You were the preferred choice. I didn't really want this particular host.
Yeah, I caught that. I was really thrilled that she came back. I kind of cheated and snuck a peek or two on IMDb and saw that she was listed for both seasons, and was really excited and really curious how it would go from Texas with the exorcism in a truck bouncing down a dirt road into a warehouse to Maria Walters being involved.
Yeah, right.
But the way they evolved the storyline with them saving the little girl with Munchausen syndrome and then getting her to the foster home, that was really well done. I thought it felt really natural, like you said,
Yes.
organic.
Yep.
It didn't feel like they were trying to force the story to bend to their will, and like a certain pair of D&D creators, showrunners from Game of Thrones might have. But they really just like let the story kind of move in a, I don't know. Because when I saw them showing Andy and on the island, I was so confused how those even two were going to intersect, let alone how they were going to drag in Maria Walters.
I think that was the beauty of the writing is because it did leave you asking that, and then it was just neat. It was a swerve after swerve that everything got pulled together.
I was thrilled to get to see Father Bennett's character develop and to
Yeah,
show more of the badass that he was. I mean, I think
Yes.
that's something I said in our last episode, was that I wished we got to see more Father Bennett, because when we did at the end, like, it was badass crazy, where he was like knocking out those homeless guys that were all coming at him with weapons, and then the rest of the episode, rest of the season.
but they continue making Father Bennett God's perfect sucker, though.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, right.
Like, he's supposed to be the smart guy, and he falls for the shit every fucking time. Like, he knows full well before he gets possessed that he's not really talking to his sister.
Yeah.
And she says, like, what, 1, 2 things, and he's like, I'll never leave you again.
And,
Like-
and as she cries, yeah, it's like, but then again, the thing we don't understand is how long, maybe we don't know that he actually was fighting after that, because the next time you see him, he's full on possessed. But like, there's a period of time where we're not seeing that. And we just know that the urn or whatever they have is underneath the bed, and the two quote unquote priests that are there are ensuring that he gets taken by the demon. So just seems to me like there's a time gap that I don't think he was a total sucker, but something else had to have happened here, or continues to happen while it's integrated with him.
Probably. It's just, he just, like, poor Bennett just gets it one thing after the next. Like, his
Right.
trust is always so misguided, except for his boss. Like, that's the one person he trusts but doesn't trust, to give him plausible deniability or whatever.
Right.
Otherwise he listens to all the wrong people for all the wrong reasons. When Mouse shows him her source, where she finds out where all the demons are from, she shows him an exorcist that he really respects, named Dolores Navarro.
Yes.
And they say that, oh, the demons are killing or converting all the exorcists. That way no one can fight them back. And you see this woman that's stuck in this circle of ground up bones of saints. and she constantly has Jesus Loves Me playing on an old record player.
That was
Like,
fantastic.
the worst form of fucking like psychological warfare you could possibly think of. But and she tells Bennett, don't go near her. She's not capable of being saved anymore. And Bennett still goes near her and gets stabbed, gets choked out, and she starts fucking him up. But at the same time, like when he gets really like surprised at the name, like Dolores Navarro, and she goes, have you heard of her? And I'm like, yeah, dude, she used to play guitar for the fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers. Turns out that was a different Dolores Navarro. But that was a neat scene. I don't think it necessarily went on too long. It would have been kind of neat to see a little bit more of that actor because she was really cool.
Yeah.
But that was fun to see Bennett get that extra moment, get his ass kicked for being kind of a dumbass, but it was a neat gothic almost type scene with the ground bones of saints.
That was a cool touch. I really like that she mentioned that.
Yeah,
Gave good background flavor to it.
Kind of, and it didn't seem like filler. I mean, because every like TV series has like fluff episodes in between that kind of get you to the plot or get you through because they don't have enough plot or money to have all the actors in each of the episodes or whatever. There wasn't a whole lot of fluff in this season. There was even in the first one, like the priest side chick. That wasn't necessary. They cut out a lot of fluff for the season, and everything was just like very emotionally invested. And I think that helped a lot.
Yeah, and they kept the fan service to a minimum too. Like they only dipped into like season 1 references just here and there whenever it actually served a purpose. It wasn't just for the sake of, oh, let's remember, let's try and pull from season 1 as much as possible because of all the wonderful actors that were on that. And it's no disrespect to that season. It's like, but if you're trying to identify yourself, you need to focus on the strength of your current season and your current cast. And to their credit, they only brought the characters Maria back. They only brought Casey Rance back just for tormenting Father Tomas. So when they got Hannah Kasulka back, I was like, oh shit, she actually is in this season. I thought it was just going to be like a little recap thing again too. So
yeah, me too.
At least they kept that sort of thing to a minimum. And yeah, they were a lot more concise with their 10 episodes. First season, you heard me say like this could have been fine at 8 episodes or less. This one, perfect at 10.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. Maybe, I mean, I enjoyed this one, so I could have even said 11 or 12. Without
you could have got me at 13, no more though, because then you do have to start doing like filler to give everybody time off and whatever.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. But I mean, this was such a great cast, and I almost wish there was more opportunity to show or to let some of the other actors shine. Shelby, for example, with his faith as strong as it was, and him being able to tell all the omens and shit like that, I would have liked to be able to see him have some strength from God to fight that demon. That would have been really neat.
Yeah.
But instead, the demon broke his fucking leg, beat the shit out of him with the fucking walking cane, and then fucking dragged him by his broken leg and started like squeezing it and shit. It's like, really? Really?
Like a juice box?
Kind of like a tube of toothpaste, basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, he totally busted his leg, or Andy busted his leg and like drags him by the leg inside this fucking shack.
Yep.
Wow.
But he's the one that witnesses all the omens, like the Windex commercial of all the birds flying into the windows and shit like that, or the house.
That was
really awesome. Yeah, that was fun. No bad CGI there. Of course, no birds were actually harmed, but it was like this glorious Windex commercial with like hundreds of crows flying into this fucking house. And you see Andy trying to protect Grace, who's actually a demon. And you're just kind of like, whoa, what was actually happening there? But Shelby sees the whole thing for what it is. He sees that where Andy's wife killed herself was the strongest point of the evil at that point in time.
Yep.
He saw the lamb that was born with deformities as being a bad omen. He saw a lot more than what anybody else did, but then couldn't do anything about it when he tried to save his family.
Jeez.
You're like, come on, man. He tried really hard. Give him 1 point to shine.
John Cho was outstanding.
Yeah, that was a hell of a performance.
He pulled from point A of the spectrum all the way to the other side, from good dad to bad guy. Like, he was perfect on both ends of that spectrum.
Not many actors can pull that off.
It was really subtle the way you first saw the indicators of him being possessed outside of his interactions with Grace, then / Nikki.
Yes.
Right.
And then when they had dinner together with the priests, that was like the telltale sign where everybody pretty much caught it, where one, he doesn't want to say grace. Two, when someone says, "What about grace?" he freaks out because they think he's talking about the demon. And then he starts like riffing the prayers, like straight up riffing them. Where Tomas says, "God, thank you for this bounty." He's like, "Dog the bounty hunter." And then he had some other rib where you're just kind of like, "Oh, that's not something Andy would say, or something you probably should even say in front of a priest."
A little insensitive.
Well, and then what happens after Truck is possessed from a distance by the unnamed demoness? If it even is a demoness, who knows? But it always goes after guys. Oh no, because there's that one mother.
Yeah, it goes
Anyhow.
after both.
Yeah, but yeah, and then when he's in the psych ward, and I mean, it could be that he's really upset with Truck over endangering the home and everybody being able to stay there, or maybe he's showing signs of being possessed.
He just like, it showed him give up on Truck so easily.
Exactly, and
And I
that
think
was
that, yeah,
it was weird, but at the same time, what Truck did endangered the entire house and all the other kids, and he was already so stressed about everything, and he might have even been put to blame because he was the one who went for the camping trip to begin with. It just seems plausible either way, kind of at that point.
I'm not sure, because I mean, I want to say he knew that Truck didn't do anything. He knew what was behind it at that point, but just let Truck be the patsy for it.
Yeah.
Which again is very ableist of the devil. It's kind of a dick.
Yeah, they kept the mind games going pretty good. That whole sequence where they were at the juvie facility the first time was just, he's just sitting there like, huh, what's going on? Oh yeah, he did it. Like off in his completely different world, and then he's sitting outside on the bench after that whole scene, and you see Rose just kind of looking out like, what the hell is he doing out there? And that's, I think, the first time that they're getting a glimpse of that.
And so, did they ever explain what the deal was with that rock?
No, other than the fact that his wife walked out into the lake and just disappeared. And when they dragged her out, that rock was in her hand. So like, I don't know, Jeff, did I miss something? Like, did she go in for that, with it? Did it weigh her down?
I think she went in with it. That's something that was a little left out there. Like, what exactly was the tie with the rock? Because it wasn't explained. It was just something that was associated with, the demon somehow. But this has been a demon that had been around for a very long time, if you believe, like, Father Tomas and his flashbacks that go back like hundreds of years. Like, this demon's been on the island seeking out like all these families, and like the old guy that the old tale that he killed like his 6 kids, and then he capped him off with took his own head off with a shotgun. I kind of wonder if like the rock maybe was like part of like how the demon was born. I don't know, but it was definitely a tie to this demon somehow. They just never explained it, because I loved the whole sequence when Marcus is asking him like, you see this rock? you say you don't care, but your eyes are following it wherever it goes. And then sets it on the table. I'm like, dude, I would have probably been way more dickish trying to get it to elicit an answer, because it gave, the demon a chance to be like, he's baiting you, don't bite. He's baiting you, don't bite. I would have been like chucking it up in the air, catching it, being like, I wonder if I could break this thing. Is there a hammer around here? I want to see what's inside this thing.
You should have thrown it, not like violently or anything to like make Rose be like even weirder and upset about them, but just like kind of dropped on the ground and been like, what do you think about that?
I would have poured holy water on it, because I'm a dick like that.
Yep.
Yeah, because it seemed like that rock. I mean, I may be just going off into the ether, whatever, net, etc. But I wonder if the rock was the thing that tied all of the possessions together, and maybe Nicole had found it at some point, and that was why she walked into the water with it, was so that she wouldn't kill Andy and the other children.
That's a very good point. I was trying to figure that out myself, but I didn't see anything that explained that. But it's like they mentioned like she was utterly depressed, like she had issues, but she didn't really strike me with any of that until like a flashback or two. But I thought that was the demon taunting Andy. So
Yes, that's what that was. Like, none of that actually happened. She was happy as shit.
that's what I thought. But I'm like, this damn rock, like, is this a MacGuffin here or what are we doing?
I don't know if it was a red herring or if it was just like a loose end, but to me, it almost looked like it was a broken piece of a brick from Foundation.
Yeah, I couldn't quite figure out what it looked like to me.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been anything. It's Marcellus Wallace's fucking briefcase. Who knows?
Yeah,
but it was just a neat point, and I think it's one of those things where, just like last season, where they take certain aspects from different horror films, and it's lots of horror films where a haunting or a possession will be caused by a cursed artifact, and I think that's kind of what this was. Or that symbol for that thing. I don't think it was a red herring necessarily, but I don't know. I think they could have gone back to it, much like the little head of Pazuzu. That's what I was getting to, like a little cursed artifact that is either an omen or causes some shit. But I don't know. There was a lot of things in this where it did, but it didn't make sense. And just to enjoy it as much as you can, just fucking suspend disbelief. Like the demon remaining on the island. Spirit, maybe a spirit of a person, I could see that being quarantined to that area. A demon, not so much. So again, throw away with what you know from most supernatural things and just go with what it's telling you. But I got thrown off by the Island Witch story. Like,
yeah,
that was kind of a spin from The Conjuring 2, or I'm sorry, the first Conjuring movie, where it just possesses parents to kill their kids. So I was kind of like, all right, well, I guess that's where this is going. But then it was like we talked about with Insidious, where yes, Insidious was basically Poltergeist, but it's spun it just differently enough to be entertaining and you not be upset by it. And I saw this the same way. It made me like parts of season 1 more, or it made me appreciate it more, where I could have wanted aspects of season 1 to be in season 3 just for like closure's sake. Again, seeing Pazuzu come back would have been epic for me.
I would have liked to know who was higher in the hierarchy between Pazuzu and.
It should be Pazuzu, like, because Father Marin says, or when Father Karras says Reagan's displayed like 5 different personalities, and Marin says, I don't care, there's only one.
Yeah.
And that is Pazuzu. That is the devil. Anything else, any other spirit beyond that, it all answers to him, or it's all part of him. So I would have liked to have seen Robert Lunny come back and be able to portray Pazuzu scarier than what he got to in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
Very much the same way that this demon got to portray Nicole or Grace. Like, both of them, the little girl and Nicole, were extremely fucking scary.
Yep.
And we didn't get to see Mr. Lunny get to be super duper scary until the very last episode, in like the last 5 minutes of episodes 110.
Yep.
Like I would have liked to have seen him come back really hard, just the way you see like the end of Exorcist 3. That would have just been really cool.
So Pazuzu does come back then, right? Because I saw the guy's name in the credits.
No,
Season 2. Oh,
No.
nothing
no.
was wrong then. Damn.
Don't trust everything you read on the interwebs.
Speaking of things that we read on the interwebs, you know how I said last season or last episode that one of the things that most people missed was that the gentleman that played Pazuzu was Maria Walters' wife dying in that bed. Totally not the case. I got owned on that by Robert Lunny himself.
Yep.
So,
He skewered you.
yeah, like, dude, if anyone's gonna put your foot in your mouth, like, I can't complain about that. Like, Pazuzu told me where to stuff it, so that was great. But no,
That's awesome.
it was, because I was like, I was pleasantly surprised to be wrong. Like, okay, good. It wasn't something that I thought they just kind of wrote off. I was wrong. Never mind then. I'm just gonna shut up.
Was that when he did the retweet?
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Nice.
It was very gracious, considering I said they made Captain Howdy look like Captain Obvious. But they did.
Yeah,
They put him in a red velour suit.
They did. They did.
So here's one thing. I think I may have mentioned it on the last one, that in the Exorcist movie, the original one, they had it as a little girl. And then in the season 1, it was a teen girl. And now in this one, it's an adult. I don't know if there's any.
I don't know if there's necessarily a correlation for season 2, but there was in season 1 because of who the little girl was. It was
Right.
it was Reagan's daughter.
Right.
So-
It gives different storytelling possibilities.
Oh, yes.
And because you couldn't see a teenage girl running a care home for foster kids.
No, I think they're just running the dynamic of anybody who's in a state of distress or hurt or whatever could fall prey to a demon.
Oh, okay.
Well, in paranormal studies, possession cases or poltergeist activity, yes, that is usually what starts it, is tragedy, stress, self-doubt, depression. Those sort of things all make people susceptible to demonic possession. Oh gosh, what else does it lead to supernatural wise? Bad things. But
No bueno.
yeah, I was doing a little bit of research about this Irish exorcist. It was a BBC art little clip, and this guy's supposed to be the foremost exorcist in Ireland. I apologize, I cannot remember his name, but he's exorcised several people, and he's also a counselor. And all the things that he was talking about, you know, he would say exactly what I just said. Things like depression lead to temptation, and temptation will lead you to opening up your heart to darkness, and that's what causes possessions and whatnot. But he's also mentioning things that are basically fucking like stress in general, depression, actual like the disease depression. It's like you can't fucking ignore that shit too, dude. Like, prayers don't make that shit go away. Pills and therapy do. So, like, it was kind of weird because it's like he was telling some interesting stuff on a psychological level, one aspect, and then just sounded like bullshit on the other. It's like, well, you can't be a counselor and completely fucking disregard psychiatry. Like, it doesn't fucking work that way. And a good exorcist is a little bit of both, and that's what Father Karras was. He was a psychiatrist, but also a priest. But this guy, it's like he would just talk about like if he said if there's one thing he could ask people not to do to save people from being possessed, is to not be interested or show any regard to the occult. And I had to pause it because I'm thinking to myself, if I wasn't interested in the occult, why the fuck would I be watching your video right now? Like, I wouldn't be watching it otherwise. Play. And then the rest of it was still bullshit. So it's he made like possessions out to be like little trifly things that eventually go away after like 20, 30 exorcisms, but it has to keep going until the person eventually decides to get better. Like, no, that's therapy. That's therapy. It was hard to watch. I didn't share it on the webpage or on the Facebook group either.
What was that term you just used a second ago? About
Bullshit?
no, about you have to help yourself. You have to want yourself.
Oh, you want to have to be able to accept help. Possessed people need to want God's salvation. They want to have the demon expelled from them. Otherwise, it's a match made in heaven.
Gotcha. Okay. I thought it was just counseling in general.
Oh, no, but counseling is the same thing. You can't go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist and be like a stubborn mule and expect to get anything out of that session. Like if you close yourself off, you will get nothing out of it. And then the same thing applies for possession, if you can even believe that at this point. Oh, speaking of which, the last commercial I did where we showed Annalise Michael or Emily Rose got a couple complaints, not a lot, regarding the priest that went to prison for medical negligence. It's not known really whether or not this was your old-fashioned type of exorcism where there was a mentally ill girl or a girl with a physical disease where they just pummeled Christ into her and she died. I don't know if that's the case or not. Apparently it wasn't. I just went along with the movie and said, yeah, she could have been possessed. This priest thought he did what was right, and he got sent to prison for it. It was unfortunate every which way around. And I think where people thought I was saying was unfortunate was, God, it sucks he went to prison for that. No, like the whole situation sucked. It sucked that she was sick. It sucked if she was possessed or not. It sucked that she fucking died. And it sucked that if somebody tried to help her, he went to prison for it. But if it's like your regular strip mall fucking exorcism where they're beating the shit out of autistic kids, then no, he deserves to go to hell too. And that was another fucking thing, a good point that they brought up in season 2. Conversion therapy is fucking evil. And the church, that was the thing he was talking about, is he was trying to use Verity to be mad at the priests or use her to discredit them by talking about conversion therapy. And Tomas just like instantly cuts him off saying, they were misguided and that's not good. And I'm sorry that happened to you, my child.
Right.
And like he totally fucking owned it.
I thought that was Shelby who told that to Verity.
Yeah, Andy.
No, because Shelby has a really touching moment with Verity too.
Yep.
Oh, this wasn't touching. This was like rubbing it in their face and hers at the same time. Like he was trying to hurt everybody.
Yeah.
Basically talking about all the physical abuse, the sexual abuse that they implied, like was all for the name of God. Like he kept trying to put all her pain on God. And Tomas just basically said, no, that was misguided people. That had nothing to do with God. And I'm very sorry.
And you saw Marcus there like nodding his head like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because the gay priests don't fucking agree with that either. Which again, he struck out this season again.
No, I wouldn't say he struck out. He just didn't. It wasn't his lifelong connection he was looking for.
No, it wasn't. But he meets a park ranger or BLM ranger for this island, and he's like, "You think he's going to be the irrational scientist or the rational scientist that discredits everything supernatural?"
And he's not.
No, again, they swerve you again. He's like this fucking really like insightful guy. He's a Kosovo war vet. He recognizes that Marcus has PTSD. And instead of pulling the oops, we're out of gas thing, he stops his boat in the middle of this fucking lake to trap Marcus and make him talk about his feelings. Like basically get it off his chest to give him therapy. And it was really, really sweet. Again, made me misty-eyed.
Yeah, they handled that relationship very well. It was too bad at the end that, it seemed like Marcus was at the marina, like maybe he
Mhm.
was. He did go to him, but it was very unclear where exactly he was and what his current situation was, because he looked happy for a moment until he heard the voice of God, and he basically had like a breakdown, like on the spot, like, yes, I hear you, Father Tomas. Okay, I understand. And that's it for the season.
Yeah, it was a very one-sided phone conversation.
Yeah, it was like, I'm talking to you. Yes, I hear you. Are you listening though? Yes, I'm listening. Like, yes, sir. Like the drill sergeant from hell.
Kind of, yeah. It was very kind of like when oh God, Elias Keats, when he has the vision from God at the beginning of Prophecy.
Yeah.
It just fucks up his brain.
Yeah. Little hardwiring issue there. And it looks like we did have a little bit of social media feedback. Thank you, Twitter. You pulled through this time. On Facebook, we just had a little bit going on. But thank you, Fisher. Your comment was, I loved Exorcist season 2, but sometimes I wish it had ended with season 1 because of closure. What do you guys think? Do you think there was enough closure in season 1, or do you think there was enough in this season? Personally, I think they left a little too much open, so that would be a fair point.
I think that there were too many loose ends open for the first season that, again, I was willing to write off because they weren't the best things in the world. But once they did touch them in season 2, again, Maria Walters, that was very important. Specifically her. I wanted to come back and find out what happened with her. As well as the French cardinal, because I really wanted him to die.
Yeah.
Do you think the people above Father Bennett and above Father Bennett's boss who called Bennett to account and excused the cardinal, do you think they're compromised?
Yes.
Yes. They made that abundantly clear. Like, they didn't really care to figure out if anybody was a demon or not. And the fact that the cardinal got away with, oh, I can bless my own water. He mumbled his way through the whole thing, and like he just sipped it, and yeah, this is really vodka. I'm just having a good time over here.
And then he puts it on his fucking neck with his middle finger, just dab here and there like it's fucking French cologne, and you're like, oh, what a prick.
See, that's why I thought it was actually something boozy, because I've seen like people do that with like, oh, hey, this tasted and smells pretty florally. Okay, this works for me.
It's cognac for the hickeys.
There you
go. But speaking again of the French bishop, I thought he was as annoying as it could possibly get.
Yeah.
But no, they bring in German priests, like really bad Hydra agent German priests. Like, yeah, Father Bennett's gonna wake up anytime soon. Thank you, my child. Yeah. And you're just like, oh my fucking Christ, these two guys are here to pump you up. It's like, please get rid of these two fucking idiots now.
Well, you could always look at that as they were opening up the world to all these priests from all over the world. I almost wonder if like maybe in season 3 they were going to open up to like, I mean, I did do some looking around for what season 3 might have been, and it sounded like, with Marcus trying to get back into the fold, like he was going to have to dig into like his years when he was doing the exorcism by himself, so like all of his contacts. So he'd have to interact with, like, say, rabbis. He'd have to interact with other religions and their contacts and how they were dealing with things. So it sounded like they had an idea to like really expand the world. So it wouldn't just be Roman Catholic priests or whatever. Like, it was going to be more than that. They were really going to try and incorporate like a lot more.
And just going beyond the Roman Catholic Church, because there's other types of exorcists out there, I'm pretty sure.
Correct.
And that really piqued my interest. I'm like, God damn you, Fox, you goddamn assholes.
Yeah, and some people a lot of new audience might have been attracted who don't give a shit at all about Roman Catholic exorcisms. or just can't find any kind of way to identify with them enough to actually keep watching a show about them.
Having walked away from the church myself 30 some years ago, they shot themselves in the foot and continue to shoot themselves in the foot on a daily fucking basis. So love your God, not necessarily a corrupt organization.
Exactly. And so a lot of people may have been turned off by it only focusing on like the Roman Catholic faith and that, oh, we're the only ones standing against the darkness.
I think that was the important part about making Marcus excommunicated, I suppose.
Yeah.
Once you could buy that, then I think that opens up that door, like Jeff said, for your other religions, because there are exorcisms and possessions in every religion. So it's your faith that battles evil, not your symbol of faith per se.
Entry number 2. Thank you, Kelly M. I said it when I watched Selfie. I said it when I watched Searching. I said it during season 2 of The Exorcist, and I'm reiterating it for Cowboy Bebop. I don't get why John Cho isn't the biggest star in the world. He's charming, charismatic, and quote unquote, hot as hell. Psst. So the female demographic was very pleased with John Cho.
I was really impressed with how it all went. I really wish I could see, and I'm going to see the rest of these episodes after this, because I was loving it. It was, I can't wait to see him as like a fully like taken over demon, or at least like fully possessed and like given in.
Oh.
That sounds awesome. That'd be a really cool.
He's extremely menacing.
Yes.
Yeah, he had me excited and like, going like, yes, several times. He deserved an Emmy. He deserved a Golden Globe. He deserves an Oscar one day. He's fucking phenomenal. He always has been.
He nailed it. They cast exceedingly well. They had it going on this show.
And again, Brianna Hildebrand, she's going to get one of those awards one day too. She's fucking amazing. And she got to show so much range in this. More so than what most people figure her for. Because, of course, she's most well known for being Negasonic Teenage Warhead, which is that the young girl with the chip on her shoulder, only a smart ass remark or a long stare. But she showed so much more in that. I mean, yes, Verity was kind of that character, but she was also a loving sister and a loving daughter and a scared daughter. And she
really liked
showed
her character
so
a
much
lot.
of that throughout the 10 episodes.
At first, I thought it was just going to be a typical, oh, I'm a resentful foster child who hates the system, and I'm going to be turning 18 soon. I'm going to be kicked out. Yeah, like, I hate everything. I hate this world. Yeah. But she turned out to be a lot more to her than just that, which makes sense, given it's an Exorcist season. And it was really cool to see her develop, especially with that new girl who came
Harper,
in. Harper.
I liked Harper so much. Oh my god.
She was a fun kid. Just in general, she was fun.
She was the glue that brought everything together once she got there.
Kinda, because it's when she said that she missed Truck, that's when you're kind of like, oh man, it really does hurt. Like, yeah, the other kids miss him, of course, but she just got there and she already likes him that much and she feels that comfortable there. Like it just kind of meant a little bit more that Harper's feelings meant more than anyone else's. Well, not more than anyone else's. Harper's feelings conveyed everyone else's feelings, I think. Like she was the epitome, so no one else had to explain their thoughts.
And if she was feeling those thoughts already, just being a new addition, then that speaks a lot for how the rest of probably.
How those kids went on after this season, who the fuck knows? They probably got some horrible PTSD.
Well, the show is all about like moving on after a tragedy a little bit. So we saw that at the end of the first season with the whole family off in their own little cabin doing well, and got that again in this season. So it's like, okay, let's put a family through utter hell and then let's see them all happy at the end. And then in our final comment, thank you, Colm, Colm. Watching Exorcist season 2, Ben Daniels is so good in this. It's a really good show. You damn right. And Ben Daniels, fantastic.
Yeah, I'd like to see him in more things, similar roles. He was pretty badass, actually. Although I did not get the fedora. Like, I know that's
I didn't either, actually.
like, why are you wearing Chris's hat?
He did it in the first season too, but then he dropped it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, because I know what the hat's supposed to be, and I know what it's supposed to symbolize. It just didn't make sense that Marcus had that hat. Just like it didn't make sense that fucking Chris had that hat.
Yeah, right.
The hat is supposed to look like fucking Father Marin's hat that he's wearing when he first arrives at the McNeil house in the 70s.
Right.
And it that was a neat like visual homage in the first season. The hat was really big for Marcus.
Yeah.
Like maybe a flat cap like I wear, that's biased, I know, or a smaller Blues Brothers hat like Nate Beagle wears. Much cooler, especially with that fucking dope leather jacket he had too.
Yeah.
Priest wearing motorcycle jackets is cool.
Well, though, just watching him and then seeing this comment, what it makes me think of is if you're going to cast him in, like, say, a DC project, which we all know about DC movies these days and the chaos going on. But if they were going to actually do a proper Jonah Hex movie, Ben Daniels would be.
Really?
I think he would be very good. But they'd have to really go to the core and make a good goddamn Jonah Hex movie. The last one, no. And no Megan Fox.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't give it the time of day. But see, I thought Josh Brolin was cast perfectly, just as far as looks and acting ability.
Oh, Brolin was fine, but the rest of the movie and Megan Fox, like, make it a good goddamn movie. If you're going to reboot it, Ben Daniels could be a good selection there.
Yeah.
I like Brolin better as Cable anyway. Sorry, Thanos fans. I like him better as Cable.
He's fucking funny as Cable.
Great.
I'd like to see him do more things like this. I'd like to see, again, going back to fucking DC, I'd like to see Matt Ryan doing more shit like this.
Yes.
Because they're all great actors. They're all great horror actors. And that's what I meant when I said some studio executive looked at him last season and said, you know what, give me not Julian Sands, because you can't get Julian Sands anymore. Julian Sands is much older and much retired. But these actors are just as good, if not a little bit better for their age at this point.
Yeah.
And they're doing great jobs. And I'd really like to see these two priests go on.
Yeah.
Well, Ben Daniels and Alfonso Herrera.
Oh, Alfonso. Oh, he was excellent too.
I really liked him. I did. I don't like Father Tomas,
right?
But I like Herrera. He did a good job.
And I think his character arc, if there was a season 3, I think it would have really brought it all together, and we would have gotten past the teething stage of Father Tomas.
That would have been fantastic.
Yes.
To see.
Yeah.
Especially with Mouse.
I would have liked to have seen more funky papal hits like the Eucharist and shit like that in the next season. But
like I could totally see Father Tomas and Mouse going off and doing something. And then like towards the end of the season 3, then they get trapped and they're stuck. And then, oh, here comes Father Marcus, came in from his mission and wanderings. And here he is, trained up and ready to kick ass.
I just think there would have been some dope murders in the 3rd season.
Oh
yeah.
I mean, if they could have wrote the Gemini half as well as fucking William Peter Blatty wrote them, that would have been some shit.
Hey, they proved to be very good writers on their show, so I believe they would have done all right. I kind of look at this as like very similar to Hannibal. If anybody was a fan of the NBC TV show Hannibal with Mads Mikkelsen, I know that's a name that makes Kevin twitch, so to speak, but they did an excellent job incorporating Hannibal Lecter into a television show. It ran 3 seasons. We're very glad we got the 3 seasons. It could have been the same with this show. We could have had an excellent 3rd season and could have had more.
And so this way, now they could reboot it as a new TV series. And because it had 2 great seasons instead of a 3rd one that was dog shit crap.
Or HBO Max. Hey, you got a blank checkbook after Game of Thrones, so why not?
Yeah, this is a Warner's fucking thing.
Yep.
Can we get that like a hashtag going for that? Like get HBO Max off their fucking ass. Like we don't need a fucking Penguin movie. Let's get another fucking Exorcist season going.
Penguin movie.
Yeah, right. There's a couple of shows that they could stand to look at that only got 2 seasons on Fox or less. Like maybe say Terminator.
Human Target.
Bingo, Human Target. That was the other one.
Space Above and Beyond.
Everybody's old. We could get back to that with a new crew if they were doing the beat
yeah
on that.
Yeah, no, I mean a total like rehaul, total overview.
Yeah. And then we could finally get good special effects. On
Exactly.
Space Above and Beyond.
And multiple seasons. What about Millennium? We need to cover Millennium.
Did that
on
get
this show.
canceled?
Millennium would be good.
No.
So it was what, 3-4 seasons?
Yeah, but I think it got screwed over towards the end because they just ripped its budget apart and got rid of a number of the shows that they were supposed to have, maybe. So they had to kind of like train crash it together.
I think
Isn't that
so.
when they tried to do the Lone Gunman show? God damn. I love those actors. I swear to God, they were great in X-Files, but a whole show of that I just could not handle.
Who greenlighted that?
Fox.
Well, yeah, I mean, who within Fox? Who would greenlight that?
Yeah, that's really what it was. It's like they were
trying to milk
rubbing those nipples for that cash cow.
I mean, I could see why, but that tonally, that was just completely the wrong kind of show to do at that time. That's not what people
I don't think it
wanted.
would be a good show today. Like I'd still be kind of bored by it. Like
No.
Birds of Prey has Oracle, and that's one thing, and she's cool. But Lone Gunman was nah.
It would be like Alien Adventures, but like trying to do an actual like action, like a real show based off ancient aliens.
Oh, that's called Stargate.
Stargate's good though.
I know. I'm teasing.
Lone Gunman, I don't think there's just not enough of the characters. They're just.
I think they're about on par.
It's insane to make a show off of them. No, I mean like in terms of like characters that you could run a whole show around.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, to me,
how would you go about doing that? I mean, I can see definitely.
Well, I would have gotten a time machine and stopped the movie from coming out in the first fucking place.
The first.
After
movie.
that, I'd go a little bit more in the future if the movie did still happen, and I'd fucking stop myself from going and save myself the fucking $20.
In 2 hours of your life.
Oh wow.
I mean, yes, it's got Kurt Russell and Ultron in it, and you think how could that go wrong? But
it went wrong.
No, I know for you guys listening at home, you're probably going to tell me to go fuck myself. And we are going to do Stargate at some point because the boys love it and I hate it. And that's going to end up making a great show.
You'll probably like part of SG1 seasons 1 through 5. After that, I kind of have my doubts. Season 4 is the most comedic fun. I think you'll get the biggest kick out of that. The other ones, we'll have to wait and see.
I like the tall alien guy from it, but Jeffrey, I can't even think of his fucking name. MacGyver. Never been a big fan of him.
Oh, he's a different character anyway. But
Oh, I thought he was playing Kurt Russell's character.
he is, but that's actually a running joke on their show. He's O'Neill with 2 L's. There's another one who runs around with no sense of humor.
That's fucking awesome. Okay.
So they do make jokes about that. And Kurt Russell did visit the set while they were shooting the show. And he was doing 3,000 Miles to Graceland. So there's an infamous picture online of Kurt Russell taking a picture with Richard Dean Anderson as playing the Jack O'Neill character. So, and Kurt Russell seemed to get a kick out of it. The only people that don't seem to like Stargate SG1 and Stargate shows are basically Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin.
And Kevin Smith. This one. But that's okay. I don't like Roland Emmerich either, so fuck him.
I don't like him either. So to hell with that.
Yep.
Although I did like his first movie, the shitty one, Making Contact. It's got possessed dolls.
I like the first Stargate movie. That's about it.
Once we get to watching it, I'm sure I'd give it a shot and probably enjoy it. But I don't know. Again, at the time, it was one of those things that my dad watched it all the time, and my dad is very well known for watching shit that the Asylum would put out.
Oh, like Gino, huh?
Yeah, so it's like it was just by association. It was guilt by association. The show was like shitty because he watched it. Same thing with Tremors 2 through 4. It's like, oh, my dad likes it. Probably not that good. Which I was totally wrong about Tremors 2 through 4. Absolutely right about 5 through 7. But
Yeah.
Which buyer beware. Walmart has a new box set for Tremors, and 5 through 7 is in that box set.
It's a pretty looking box set, but
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It looks like the cover from what's the title of the book?
Seeking Perfection.
Yes. Yeah, it's got a very similar cover to it. And it is neat. And it's only $20. Seven movies for $20. 4 really good movies for $20.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, and I say that with much love to Steve, Brent, and Grant.
Yep, we love you guys.
Glenn, I'm sorry. Please don't shoot me. I was just talking to Grant earlier.
Well, with that said, thank you for tuning in. We are Sons and Shadows. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just take a look for @Sons and Shadows. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are @Sons and Shadows. We're also on Instagram @Sons and Shadows Cast. We are at sonsandshadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.
Pump you up.